Good morning, welcome back to my channel and today's lesson. Today we're going to do something that is loosely based on one of the pages from the journal that I call the Big Beast. It's basically applique with running stitch, the slow stitch. So I don't really want to waste too much time talking about it because this is quite a large project. Although it's small in size to fit our journal, the actual stitching is quite a large, as I said, a large project. So what we'll start with, as always, is calico. Now today I'm using a light calico because there be several layers of applique on the background fabric. So I think that the heavier calico might be too thick for the needle to go through, maybe up to several layers. So that is why I've used the finer calico. You don't have to use calico. You can use something else that you have, maybe an old pillow slip or even an old cotton tea towel, something like that, that is just going to form the base of your work. So we'll make a start. Now first of all, I'm going to, as always, put the calico down. Now I've deliberately, in case you're wondering what this board is for, the colours that I'm using are basically very pale and I don't think you'll see them on the table. So I'm just using this small cutting board so that you'll be able to distinguish between the pale fabric and the pale of the table. So as I was about to say, calico and then background, and that is a really gorgeous piece of fabric. You know, it's almost such a shame to cover it up, but I'm hoping that there will be areas exposed that we won't actually cover it all up, but I can't guarantee that. So I've already cut out some of the pieces that I intend to use. It's going to be based on flowers and butterflies. So I've made a start on cutting out some flowers. This is a really nice one here with the sequins, and pretty one there, a little bit of an offcut, some lacy flowers and some butterflies and more flowers, and also this really beautiful fabric. Look at this. This is truly gorgeous. If I move all this from the board, you might be able to see it better. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? It's machine made. That's better. It's machine manufactured, and all these little flowers have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 small beads on them. Some have, well, that one's got 1, 2, but most of them have 10 flowers in lots of 2 on 5 petals. But I think that is truly beautiful. So I'm going to use some of this. I'm going to use, I'm not sure if I cut some out for something else. Yes. Oh, I cut this out for another project, so that's a little bit of an offcut that I'll be using. But I also intend to cut out some of these flowers, maybe in individual flowers, or in a strip. I'm not quite sure yet. As always, this will evolve as I work along it. So there's no plan, it's just going to evolve. The only plan at the moment is some of the flowers that I'm going to use, excuse me, mostly because I had them cut out anyway, and the butterflies which I cut out. And this is the only plan, the calico and the background fabric. So having said that, let's make a start. Now I'm going to just for a little bit just play around. Now that's got straight edge, so I'm inclined to put that on a straight edge. Oh, so's that. No, these are too big. These are far too big, so they need to form the base of the applique, because to put these on the smaller shapes, it's going to cover quite a lot up. So the larger flowers, this one and this one, will form the base of the applique. So the smaller shapes will be appliqued on top of those. So let's hang on a minute, let's have a look. Right, this is the wrong side of that. Now I love this because it's sequined. If I hold it, you see the light playing on that. They're finely sequined, these pieces. That's the blue piece and the pink. Ah, yeah, they've come out on the camera, so there is a difference. But the back is just as nice as far as I'm concerned. What I'll do, because I do like the back, I'm going to use the back of one, I think, and the front of another. So I'm going to put this big one over there. Right, I'm going to use the back of this one, and it's a nice straight edge there, so I'm going to take advantage of that straight edge and pop that there. Right, I've already said that this one will form the base, so if that's going to form the base, we could pop that there in the middle. And then that colour, see, don't overthink, so just pop them down. That one will go there. I haven't got all the pieces for the rest of it, but I'm just going to show you how I'm starting this off. So let's see what this bit could go there. Right, I'm going to shelve that bit for a minute. Let's put some butterflies down. Now once again, this is the right side, I believe, or it could be the wrong side. Oh my goodness. These are the right sides, I would imagine, and those are the back sides, but I like the back sides of these, because if I use these colours, it's going to be far too busy. So we need a plain colour to break up all the colours of the garden, if you like. This is going to be a garden, so we do need the plain colours to break up the garden. So I'm going to join these two pieces with that butterfly. So let's place that there, and I'm going to place that there. Right, so far so good. I'm quite pleased with that. I'm pleased with that. So I'm going to put a pin there. Now this is us layering. This is us laying the applique. Now you can actually sew the layers on individually. Put the base flowers down first and sew around those. But as far as I'm concerned, if you're going to cover them up, the slow stitching takes quite a long time, and it just seems a waste of time to do that when you could do it this way and save yourself a little bit of time, because there's other things to be doing, there's other projects to be doing. Now I will also at the end, when I finish the whole lot, as you probably guessed by now, I love using tulle, net, lace, and this, when something is very busy, if you just lay a fine layer of lace, lace or fine net over the whole lot, it marries it. It takes off the glare and it marries the colours together. So I will be using some of that towards the end. Right, now let's make a start on this. I have threaded some needles, so it's potluck as to the colour. Right, so let's make a start with, I think we make a start with a butterfly. That's a nice thing to start with, isn't it? So the butterfly, I'm going to move the butterfly up a little bit. Let's take him up to the edge. That's it. So our running stitches, oops. So I'm going to start here because it's shaped. I'm going to start here. If you can see that, if I could keep that down for a bit. I'm going to start here and then I'll go back and complete the shaped bits. But just for the time being, I'd like to secure it this way, just to make sure it's secured to the base. Right the way through. See, we're going through 4 layers at this point: the flower, the butterfly, the background and the calico. So already it started quite thick, and I can see, oh that's okay, I've got a stitch out of place there, but hey ho, this is slow stitching, so it doesn't matter one iota. Now this is how I'm going to carry on with the whole piece. Small running stitch to secure all the pieces. Oh, that feels as if that's knotted up. Yep, lovely. So turn that round. Some people might like to do this in a frame. I used to do most of my sewing in a frame. It's quite easy, but it does make it easier, but sometimes it's a bit restricting depending on the size of the piece that you're sewing. If this were in a frame, then I'd have to keep turning around, quite a large frame, whereas a bigger piece that doesn't need so much turning, I think works best in a frame. Now as you can see, this is almost secured. Now as we've said before, oh, you can't see that, can you? I'm obscuring that. As I said before, if you end up with large distances between the rows, you can fill them in with another stitch, different coloured stitch. You see that? Nothing fancy, nothing special, just running stitch. So that will be completed with a running stitch, and this is all I'm going to do to all the shapes. Going to secure all the shapes down with a running stitch, and then after I've secured all the shapes down, I've sewn them down with the running stitch, I'll then go back with the small flowers with these and place those where I want on top, but these will be the last things that will go down. So, and this is all I'm doing. Now that butterfly is almost completed, so the next thing I would do is possibly sew this down in lines, nice running stitches down here in lines, and then maybe that piece. Now I won't sew this butterfly down yet because it will need something underneath. It might need that, perhaps not, and then maybe that over the top, but maybe not. So all the time you're building up the layers and you're applying them to the background with running stitch. So I'm going to leave this here. I know it's very short, but there is quite a lot of stitching to do now before I show you the end result and put it in the journal. So have a great day, and I'll get back to you as soon as this is completed, and take care. Have a good one. Bye bye. Well, here it is finished, and believe it or not, it didn't take as long to do as I thought it was. It was probably one of the quickest projects to do, apart from the very first page, which was our starting point. And it was just such a lovely thing to do. I sat on the settee, got curled up, and had a cup of coffee one side, biscuit the other side. A little bit of music on, and before I knew it, I was adding on the last piece. So do give it a try. It's a very nice thing to do. Well, as you can see, I did cover up the back completely, all but for these tiny pieces here, and there and there. And as I like the fabric so much, what I've done, I've headed it at the top with a little border, and at the bottom with a little border, secured that down with herringbone stitch. I'm going to put that there because this bit here is actually the cover, and it's confusing the issue right there. So that is where the page finishes. I'll make that a bit bigger. That's it. Now, as you can see, this is the butterfly that I started sewing. No, it isn't, is it? I've turned it up the other way. Right, that I think is the butterfly I started sewing first. Yes, I think it is. Oh my goodness, I can't remember. And I've used running stitch throughout. I fanned it on this butterfly here. It's fanning out. Pinwheel here with a tiny bit of weaving through half of the pinwheel. I don't know if I can lift that to make so you can see that. Let's have a look there. It might just be a little bit blurry, I'm not sure, but anyway, half of that is woven. I did cut that beautiful fabric into strips, well, not all of it, but just the pieces I needed, and I've secured it here once again with running stitch throughout, from one length, from the beginning of it to the end, and I had 3 rows of running stitch in that one strip there. Oh, what else? I outlined some of the flowers here with a running stitch, so it is secured with brown running stitches, but these leaves here, that one and that one, I just gave it more definition to the shape and outlined it in a purple. I think I might have done that somewhere else as well, and here as well. And apart from that, yes, and I did cover some of this in that that tulle netting. So this half here is in the netting. That has netting on it. Some of that does, but as you can see, this bit is brighter. The brighter areas are those that I didn't put the netting over. That tiny bit there is brighter. I'm not sure the light's doing this any favours at the moment. So you can see the netting here quite clearly against the piece here that hasn't got the netting. On one of the butterflies, this one, I cut half of it away and then sewed it. I did the same here as well, just to make half the butterfly a little bit brighter. I did a running stitch around that flower there, this great big flower, for more definition. And apart from that, that was it. A lovely, lovely thing to do. And that in itself, as many of these samples, would make a nice journal cover in its own right. I just loved the look. So it went from that beautiful fabric. I'm not sure I've got any lying. Oh, I've got a tiny bit here. So it started off like this, which was actually beautiful, I know. And it's ended up like this, something quite substantial and heavy. So we're nearly at the end of the sewing project. We have one more to do, and then we can start on the pages in between. So having said that, I'm going to finish here and have a good day once again. It's absolutely beautiful out here at the moment, so fingers crossed it might stay like that. So as I said, have a lovely day, take care, and I'll see you very soon. Bye bye now.